Our people wandering around at open houses, they need our help, and we saw that stat. Is it 80% are unrepresented? That's huge, y'all. That's huge. Let's not let them get out the door without getting an appointment. They need help. That's why they're going to open houses. And a lot of times they don't really know what they're doing. Even if they're experienced buyers, they may not know where they want to live, and we're the specialists that can help them get there. So what do I do?
Just 2 fingers and just scroll, pull down.
All right, I'm going to. Oh, got it. All right, so we all know that when you've got to get the leads, which is going to get to the appointments, and that's what we're going to really focus on, is getting those people in the door. And Chris has helped us figure out how to get the maximum number of people in the door, and then we're going to figure out how to get appointments. And then you're going to put them under contract, and you're going to get them under buyer agency, and then you're going to put them under contract, and then you're going to close, and they're going to be happy clients, and you're going to make commission, and they're going to send you referrals, and you're going to have a great year in real estate. That's how it works. So, I talked about this too. I'll just do that. All right, so when I do an open house, my main goal, I start on the front porch. I don't care if it's January. In fact, I'm waiting for it to be a little warmer again before I start.
I don't know how you do this.
I wear a coat and I take if it's utterly freezing, I'm going to go inside the house, but I do everything I can to greet them on the front porch.
Do you do that even when it's 98 degrees out? I don't want to be a swabby, sweaty nice.
I will, yeah, I will. Once again, I mean, if it's 100 degrees, I'm not going to sit out there on the front porch, especially if the afternoon sun is setting. But I'm going to do everything I can to be outside. How many of y'all have done an open house? How many people in here? How many of you have done an open house? You've been in the house somewhere and someone has rung the doorbell.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think people ring the doorbell?
They're uncomfortable just walking in somebody else's house.
Absolutely. So I want to make them comfortable before they even walk in the door. So I want to start developing that rapport before they walk in. And I want them to feel comfortable enough that they're going to be able and willing to share information with me and to see if I might be a good fit to help them. So when I'm on the front porch, I'm just exchanging some quick pleasantries with them. And I'll go ahead and start passing this around. So I don't leave, the only thing I leave out on the counter is I will pull out my sign-in sheets with a pen, and I will have this book open. So in the book, I have the listing, any floor plans, anything that's on MLS. I'll run some quick comps. I've got this information. I do have information for them. It's the buyer sheets that I tuck back here. I feel that if people walk in the door and you leave sheets laying out, they're like, hey, how you doing? And they grab a sheet, and they don't really need you. And they don't really, you're not in a position where you're able to help them. So if you keep your information close to you, available to them, because they can look at it through this book. Trust me, nobody will go to the back of the book and say, right. So I'll go ahead and just pass that around.
Is that listed in here, what's in that book or no?
No,
So MLS sheets,
yeah.
comps, what else?
The buyer printout, anything that's attached to MLS, any of the documents, the property disclosure, floor plans, if there's a survey that the seller has.
Neighborhoods with golf communities.
Yeah. Whatever information.
Put away the listing agent stuff that they may have left out.
Oh yeah.
Always.
I take the lockbox off the door and I put it in a drawer.
Really?
I like that.
I'm there doing the open house, so I just take the lockbox off the door, put the key in the drawer, and I'm out on the front porch. So.
Don't put the key in your pocket and walk home with it.
True. I always put it, usually I'll go to the left of the stove. That's usually the drawer that I put everything in. And I'll put the key in the lockbox, and then I'll put, Wilson Realty Group, we do brochure flyers that we leave at the listings, and I always just tuck them away in the drawer when I'm there.
I always take the flyers out of the lockbox if there's lockbox in
Or,
the house.
yeah,
Well, I do, last year I locked myself out of the house. So, I used to have the key in my pocket when I walk in. I open the door, put the key in my pocket. And then that day I left the key on the counter. And then went outside and locked myself out. It was freezing. So I stood there for about 3 hours before somebody came and locked the door.
oh, no. And that is one thing you do have to be careful of, even when you're showing. Back doors will get you every time. So, those ones that you think it's unlocked, and then when you pull it, you're
Right,
like,
and that's
uh-oh.
You'll only do it once.
Yes,
That's right.
that is true.
Go home with a key. That's the only-
So I'm on the front porch, and I'm on the front porch, and I see somebody pull up, and they're getting out of the car, and they start walking up the driveway, and you picked a beautiful day to come look at open houses. How many homes have you seen today? What made you decide to come to this home? How many stops have you made today? How did you find out about this open house? And if they say, oh, we found it online, then I say, oh, great, do you remember what site it was on? Then I usually will exchange names, and then when we walk inside the door, I'll usually say something like, I'm a buyer specialist, I only work with buyers, I am here helping the seller sell this beautiful home. Let me just tell you a little bit about it. I'm gonna let you ooh and ah, look around, and I will be here for any questions that you have. Usually by the time I let them go and they start oohing and ahhing, I usually already know if they're working with an agent. And if they say they aren't, before I release them, I say, you know what, I'm a buyer specialist, I would love to help you. Maybe when you look through the house and you come back downstairs, we can have a chat and figure out a time that we can meet to see if we might be a good fit to work together. How does that sound? And they say, great. And they go walk around the home. If they're lingering upstairs for a long time, then I may go upstairs and just check on them and see, because if they are, that might mean that they like what they're seeing or discussing, and so I'm gonna talk to them and say, hey, so tell me how you're feeling about this home. Is there, you've been up here for a little bit, or if there are things you like about it, what don't you like? When they come back downstairs, or if they're, if it's a ranch and then they're in the back of the home, everything, that notebook is in the kitchen, by the way. It's on the kitchen island or counter or whatever. So when they come back downstairs, I try to make sure that I'm in the kitchen. And so we're gonna talk about, how did you feel about this home? What are your thoughts? We talked about the fact that I'm a buyer specialist, and I would love the chance to sit down and talk with you. So how about we get together, how does Monday night sound? I do a lot of buyer consultations on Monday nights, because I meet them at open houses on Sunday. So if I get people, sometimes I get more people coming in and you can only be in one place at a time, and I'm just really kind of gauging the rapport that I have with people. I don't get them to sign in until they're back in the kitchen, and after I've had a little bit of time to ice break with them and actually talk to them a little bit about what they're looking for. You would be surprised how little time you need to spend with people for them to be comfortable. If it's about them and you ask them the right questions, they need our help. That's what we have to remember, is they're there because they need our help. They're probably not begging, but they want help. And if we come from contribution, then those people that we're meant to work with are gonna walk in the door. That I seriously believe that. And because I believe that, it happens. So, does that make sense? Everybody
Did you
good?
say you don't have them register in a paper format or digital format
Until they come back downstairs, and until I've had a little bit of a chance to talk with them. I've met them on the porch, I probably talk to them more than, I mean, the way I do it, I probably talk to them at that point more than someone who might station themselves in the kitchen and they ring the doorbell and, hey, come on in, fill this out, please, go walk around and look. So, and there's no right or wrong approach, it's just, it's worked for me. I have a level of comfort, I've been doing it for a long time. I do think though that it's mindset, and I think if you adopt that mindset, and if you're really there to help people, and you are coming from contribution, those buyers that you're meant to work with, and sellers, they will walk through that door. Make sense? Okay. So, now, everybody that walks in the open house, they're not gonna wanna meet with me right away. They're not gonna wanna set an appointment with me. However, through the conversation and the things I've learned, I've normally figured out what they do or don't want, or what is something of value that I can send them to follow up with them. What are some things that we could send people if they come into an open house? What might be an item of value that I could send somebody to keep up with? What's that?
Covenants.
Covenants, perfect. The things that are printed in that book, they may want an electronic copy of that. So, I'll be glad to send that to them in electronic form.
I have a quick question. When I'm doing my open house and I have people sign in, I like to write notes. A couple came in with a baby, or a couple has twins, or describe them. Their house is going to be listed next month, or it's already listed. I don't like for other people that come in to see that I'm taking notes about people walking through the house. How do you keep that record of people?
Well, I will either carry another notebook separate from my sign-in sheet, or when they leave, I turn it over and I just, write the notes really quickly.
That's what I've done. I just wanted to see if you did anything different.
And Kelly, what was your experience on site when you worked on site? How did you handle that? What did you do?
As soon as they left, I had a million sticky notes on
Yeah.
their registration card, and I just would update it that way.
Yeah.
That pour-up that I did, it was like the registration card, it was like the index card, when they left, I flip it over and I write notes on the back of it, so that's
See,
the
it's
power
good
of
that
that.
it's a card, because you can pull that card, whereas you have that sheet that has multiple
Yeah.
people on it, there's the challenge. So maybe I'll switch to a card.
The disadvantage of using a sign-in sheet is what, if they miss,
Right.
Yeah.
whereas an individual card, they don't see what anybody else has done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll usually flip that sheet over, try to right away, and I'll get the, I remember particular things about
Yeah.
moving from California in the spring.
Yes.
And, those things will jog my mind so that when I get home, I remember, but if you don't do it, then you're something.
Yeah, that's true.
If you have a busy open house.
So we talked about covenants. What are some other things? Things that were attached to the listing?
Floor plan.
Other
CMA from that neighborhood?
other comparable listings.
Neighborhood events and things.
Right. I would still do your best to get them in for a consultation. So, Carly, you're a visitor at my open house, and you tell me that you're on a lease until October of this year, okay? All right, so you're in a lease until October of this year?
Yes, I'm just looking for right now. I'm not planning on doing anything really until the fall.
Okay. I tell you what, Carlene, the fall is gonna be here before you know it, because the home purchase process, from going under contract, actually looking for a home and going under contract and closing, it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 months. So why don't we plan on this? Let's plan a time that we can sit down, get our game plan together and our strategy, so that when that time is right for you to look for a home, then we're already gonna have that game plan and that roadmap in place that we're gonna follow, and it will make the process seamless as possible. How does that sound?
It sounds good, but it sounds a little premature for me. I feel like it's too soon to be starting that process. I just wanted to see what's out there.
Okay, and I understand that. I I tell you, I have found that there are buyers that feel the same way that you do right now. However, I want to make sure that you understand this is on your time frame. What I think is good is if we just sit down and get our information in front of us, and then I'm gonna help you make the best informed decision as to when the time is right for you. Trust me, it's not too soon. I work with buyers all the time that come see me and meet me early in the year and are not looking until much later in the year.
That is great. That takes so much pressure off of the buyer. They don't feel like they're trying to back me in the corner and pin me down and, you know, have me sign my first child away. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really great. I feel like you completely diffused it.
Well, and Kelly Horton and I were talking about that. Kelly is a new buyer specialist on our team, but she's in new home sales, and we worked together years ago on site. The way I approach what I do is that I am responsible for presenting the information to them, and then I'm gonna help them make the best informed decision. So it's not about that I wanna meet with them so that I can make them buy a house sooner, so that I can get them to close before my anniversary year ends because I'm half, you know, or whatever.
It's to establish the relationship.
Yes.
And to come from contribution and to show you a value package.
Right.
Get your workout today.
You also agreed with the complaint or the objection. You agreed before going into, but what I found is.
It's really true. Now, I will tell you, I work with buyers that will move their time frame up considerably. I've also worked with buyers that are gonna wait, and they don't wanna go out until August, and that's okay. What you're doing though is you're gonna get them under buyer agency, and then you're gonna give them the information when they want it. They're not gonna be out going to other open houses with the opportunity to work in a weak moment with a weak agent, or have some Yahoo, you know, end up working with them. You are gonna get them under buyer agency, and you're gonna be able to give them the information that they need.
What kind of language do you use in the open house to get them under buyer's agency at that point?
Well, you don't do it. You do it, yeah, you don't get them under buyer agency there. You're gonna do a consultation, so you're gonna set an appointment that is just dedicated to doing a needs analysis, showing the benefits of what you do, and then you're going to ask them if they're ready to work with you. And because you're coming from contribution, they're gonna say yes. No, really, I mean, I love what I do. I'm in this business to help, and it's very rewarding, and that's what we're here for. People that need you will walk in the door. Yes, Carl?
MaryLou, what percentage of your buyers would you say come from an open house?
Well, I have a stat on that I'll show you. I didn't do as many open houses in 2015 as I could have, but I had